Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about the chapter 4 and the name of the chapter is the structure of atom. In this chapter we will discuss about the atom and various theories. Atom having the three types of subatomic particle known as electron, protons and neutrons. Electrons are negatively charged, protons are positively charged and neutron having the no charge. Then mass of the electron is 1 by 2000 times of the mass of the hydrogen atom. But proton and neutron having the mass equal to the mass of hydrogen atom, which we will taken as 1 unit. And who discovered these subatomic particles? J.J. Thomson discovered the presence of negatively charged particle, basically known as electrons, in the atom, and E. Goldstein discovered the positively charged particle known as protons. Similarly, James Chadwick in 1932 discovered the presence of particle having the no charge known as neutron. Now, where these three subatomic particles present in the structure? Now, in this given structure, this is the nucleus having the proton and neutron, and this is the electron which is revolving around the nucleus in the atom. Now come to the various theories. First one is the Thomson model of atom. He proposed that an atom is a positively charged sphere having the electron embedded in it. And most important thing was that the negative and the positive charge are equal in magnitude, and that's why we have take the atom as a electrically whole neutrally electrically neutral. Okay students, now this is about the points considered by the Thomson, and due to this Thomson model is also known as the Christmas pudding or the sweet pudding. Now come to the next theory, that is Rutherford model of an atom. This Rutherford consists the or observed the following points. First one was most of the alpha particles pass straight through the gold foil, and second one was some of the alpha particles were gone straight or deflected by the small angle, and the third one was very few alpha particles appear to be rebound. It means that there is some hard particle, hard mass present at the center of the gold foil, and that is known as the nucleus. So basically he concluded the different points from the observations, and that was most of the space inside the atom is empty, and second one was atom having the small nucleus which is positively charged, and due to this some rays gets deflected or rebounds back, and the size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of the atom, because very few alpha particles appear to rebound and most of the positively charged and the mass of the atom is present in the nucleus. And due to this observations and conclusions, we consider the Rutherford model as atom has a positively charged nucleus at its center, and most of the mass of the atom is present in this nucleus. And second one was electron revolve around the nucleus in the different orbits. And third point was the size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of the atom. Now there were some limitations of this Rutherford model, and that was if any charged particle during the acceleration radiates energy, then what will happen? It would lose energy and fall into the nucleus, and it becomes atom unstable. But as we know that atoms are stable. So who will overcome these limitations of Rutherford model? And that was Niels Bohr. And he gives Bohr's model of an atom, which consists of following points. First one was, an atom has a positively charged nucleus at its center, and most of the atom is in the nucleus. Second one was, electrons revolve around the nucleus in spatial orbits known as discrete orbits. Third one was, these orbits known as the shell or energy shells, represented as the k element shells, or we numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last point was, while revolving in these orbits or discrete orbits, the electron do not radiate energy. And this is the most important point. Means if it will not radiate energy, then it becomes the atom stable. Now, how can we distribute the electrons in these different shells? So basically, Bohr and Bury suggested the distribution of electrons in the different shells. And first one point was, or rule was, the maximum number of electrons in a shell is given by the formula, that is 2n square, and n is the number of the shell. Basically, K shell means first, for the K shell, basically n is equal to 1, and it means that after putting the 1 in the formula 2n square, we get 2 electrons. And in the second shell, or for the second shell means L, n is equal to 2, and after putting that, the electrons become 8. Similarly, we can calculate it for the M and the N shell, and that will become 18 and 32 electrons respectively. And second rule was, the maximum number of electrons that can be filled in the outermost shell is 8, and electrons cannot be filled in a shell unless the inner shells are filled. Now we will discuss about the distribution of cells in the first 18 elements. First, atomic number 1, having the hydrogen atom, electron equal to the 1. Similarly, helium having the atomic number 2 and number of electrons 2. Similarly, now come to the boron having the atomic number 5 and number of electrons equal to the 5. But how can we distribute these electrons in the different shells? K having the 2 electrons and remaining electrons are present in the L shell. Similarly, with a higher atomic number like the sodium having the atomic number 11 and number of electrons present like this 2, 8, 1. Similarly, in the chlorine having the atomic number 17, electrons present like this 2, 8 and 7. Now this is all about the distribution of electrons in the different shells, or we can represent it in the atomic structure like this. This is the first shell K. Similarly, in the higher atomic number like the aluminium having the atomic number 13 and the electronic configuration 2, 8, 3, basically K, L and M shell like this. Similarly, we can discuss about the various elements and like this. Now come to the next topic, that is valency. Valency is just the combining capacity of the atom, and the electrons present in the outermost shell of an atom known as the valence electrons. For example, hydrogen, lithium and sodium can easily lose the one electron and become stable. So basically their valency is 1. Similarly, magnesium can lose the 2 electrons and having the valency 2. But what about the electrons present in higher number at the outermost shell, like the sulfur having the atomic number 16 and electronic configuration 2, 8, 6. Now we can calculate the valency as 8 minus outermost electron. 8 minus outermost electron means 2. And basically, if in the outermost electron are greater than the 4, then we can calculate it, the valency by the 8 minus outermost electron. So basically, we can calculate it, the valency by this rule for the non-metals, and sulfur valency will be equal to the 2 according to this rule. Now come to the next terms, that is atomic number denoted by the capital Z, and atomic number of an element is just the number of protons present in the nucleus of an atom. Now hydrogen having the atomic number 1, it means that it having the 1 proton. Similarly, lithium having the 3 protons means its atomic number is 3. Similarly, what about the mass number? Mass number is denoted by the capital A and is defined as the sum of the number of protons and neutrons or nucleons present in the nucleus of an atom. And we can calculate it by the formula like this: number of protons and number of neutrons. So basically, for example, carbon having the mass number 12, it means it having the 6 protons and 6 neutrons, because atomic number is 6, so number of protons will be equal to the 6 and remaining will be the neutrons. It means 6 will be the neutrons. Now how we denote the mass number and atomic number on the element? So basically, the symbol of the element is written at the center and mass number as the upper side or as the power, and atomic number as the subscript. Now come to the next topic, that is isotopes. Isotopes are the atoms having the same atomic number but different mass number. For example, hydrogen having the 3 isotopes and known as the protium, deuterium and tritium. So basically, in the protium, its atomic number is 1 but mass number is also 1. But in case of the deuterium, it's having the mass number 2, and in the tritium it having the mass number 3. Similarly, carbon has also a 2 isotope like these, and chlorine also have the 2 isotope like this. So basically, in this only atomic number is same but mass number is different. Means 17 is the atomic number and 35 and 37 is the atomic mass. Now come to the last topic of today's tutorial, and that is isobar. Isobars are the atoms of different elements having the atomic number, different atomic number but the same mass number. So basically, this is the reverse or opposite to that of the isotopes. So its examples are calcium having the atomic number 20 and argon having the atomic number 18. But there is one similar thing, that is having the same mass number, which is equal to the 14. So calcium and argon are considered as the examples for isobar. And iron and nickel also having the Same mass number but different atomic numbers, 26 and 27 respectively. So this is all about the today's tutorial. Thank you.